Welcome everybody to this Job Talk. Job Talk is a format in which students get advice from other students that are already on the job market. We have also a beautiful and very talented host, Delia. This is the greeting from YULM University. Today we are at YULM because we go around in universities and discover talents and discover careers that you may have. Everything is to tell that you can get a job in Milano with your degree, put your degree at work. So, Yulm.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you very much for all of you for being here and whoever's connected, obviously, from home. My name is Mattia. I work in the University in the Career Service Department, and I wanted to thank, obviously, YesMilano and all the partners and all the speakers, of course, who are going to talk about their stories today. So I'm not going to talk too much now because this is not about me, it's about you guys. So thank you for being here, and obviously, if you have any questions for me, even at the end, that's fine, absolutely. Thank you to everyone.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Delia. I'm a student from YULM University. I'm right now studying master degree of hospitality and tourism management. So I'll be your host here tonight. These two people, they are from our university as well. So basically, our format would be I will be just asking them questions, the questions that you may concern during the time that you're trying to get a job. And after that, we will have question-to-question section. So is that obvious? Clear? I'm sorry. Yes? Okay. So first of all, I think we should get a round of applause for these two people that are joining us, and of course you guys as well. So let's get a round of applause for ourselves. Thank you very much. So let's start with the introduction of you guys. So Anil, please.
First, ladies, please.
Okay, he said ladies first.
Thank you very much. My name is Melissa Yepangyu, and I'm attending the last year of my bachelor degree here in corporate communication and public relations. And I'm very happy to be here today, and I'm very willing to share with you guys my experiences. Thank you very much.
How to say? So it's like, I don't know if you ever watch Game of Thrones, but like Daenerys Targaryen, I have like many names. So like I'm a master student basically, but I work in a community of the YULM. I'm a representative of the YULM residents. I work as a part-time bartender, and I'm a friend of her. So she's gonna try to make jokes on me. Just to let you know.
Okay. Yes, he's sort of friend. So let's ask the first question. I think first we all wanted to know why would we choose YULM University to study. I would start first. First of all, I'm 29 years old, kind of like the oldest student from my class. I always wanted to go to European countries to study or to try to experience the life here. And lucky me, after 3 years locked in China, I got a chance to get out. So I was searching online. YULM University has a very good reputation, and that's why I decided to come and study here. So what about you?
The reason why I chose University YULM is because I really like the communication field, and I think for the communication is one of the best university that I can choose from in Italy. So that's the reason why I chose YULM.
Thank you. What about you, Anil?
I mean, honestly, I'm about to graduate. I still don't know why I chose YULM, but I'm happy. I'm glad. I can just say it's not a mistake. So it's a good choice.
Okay, so we got here today for a reason, because these two lucky people, they already find a job, and we're gonna steal some secrets from them as like how you get this job. First of all, Melissa, could you tell us where are you working right now, and the short introduction about your company?
Yeah, for sure. Currently, I'm working in a company of marketing in Italy, and the name is China Digital Marketing. So we help the Italian brands to help them to gain some brand awareness in China and help them to bring their value in China.
Okay, what position are you in right now?
My position right now is China marketing specialist.
Okay, how did you find this job? Very direct question. How did you find this job?
Very casual, very casual occasion. Because during the last summer, I was looking for something to spend my time on this during the summer, and I just I just prepared my CV with Mattia, and then I try to find some company lists, and then send the email to them. And luckily, I find a company. They can accept stage list during the summer. So this is how I find this job.
Thank you very much. So the first step you guys need to write down is to get in contact with Mattea. So what about you, Anil? And what's your company and what position you're doing right now?
I work for Ili. For those coffee lovers who will know it, I guess. But like it's in Rinascente. It's next to Duomo. I work in a bar. It's my hobby, so I was quite lucky. And by the way, it's true. I find a job with Matteo's CV as well. So it all started like this. And yeah, it's been more than 9 months. I'm still working in that company. I completed my stage as well. And that's it, I guess.
Is the payment good? Sorry, another question. I was just joking. So how did you find this job?
Well, it wasn't that easy actually, but I was just lucky because I had the work experience. I was in a store manager in Istanbul, so I was already in this industry. But the only problem which we all have right now, the language barrier, because even like I am or you are capable for many jobs, once you apply, when your phone rings from the company, ma tu parli italiano? Then all the interview goes in other ways. So I was just lucky, and I learned a bit Italian. So that's how I get, but 90% luck.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Now this question is gonna be a little bit harsh. So what do you don't like about the part you're working right now in your company?
I love my job.
Your boss is not here. Is he here?
No? Okay.
No, okay.
Let me think. Because I think the communication field is very dynamic. So the tricky thing is you have to stay always on the news. You have to always update the new tools and the new way of the communication and how to help your clients to achieve their business objectives. So you have to always update your knowledge.
What part do you like about your job?
My favorite part will be probably in this field, you will have a lot of opportunities to communicate directly with your client and to know what their real needs, and then help them to achieve their goals. So, and also another interesting thing is you will also have a lot of opportunities to network and to know the people in the different field, to exchange your ideas with others. So it's very interesting for me.
Okay, thank you. Do you speak Italian?
Sì, parlo italiano.
Oh wow. We got everybody here is international. Do we have some Italians here? No, we're all internationals. How many people speak Italian? Almost 1/3, I think. I think for non-Italian speakers, the first obstacle we have is we do need to speak the language, because when it comes to job searching, a lot of companies require for that. So as Melissa, she's working in a Chinese company at this moment. I think it could be.
It's an Italian company.
Oh, it's an Italian company.
But we help Italian brands to do some marketing in China.
Okay.
So it's related to China and the Italian markets.
Okay, thank you. So for Enio, I know him for since the first day we got in this university. I know he's being humble. He speaks really well Italian, and me in the meanwhile, I do not speak a very good Italian. I can go out just for very easy in the restaurant, order some food. Not even the name, just the questo. But luckily, I was struggling to get a job as well, and at the end, I do find a job, an internship, and I'm right now in the process. So how did I find? Because Melissa, I think we found it from different ways. I used the website, which I find out it's very useful at UM, provided by UM Alma Laulea. So I suggest everybody can have a very good look at it, because some of the companies, they do not have such a huge requirement of Italian, so you guys could try that one first. So far we can say, first of all, let's get contact with Mattia, and second, let's log in Alma Laulea. And now let's see, Enel, if you have any good suggestions for, first of all, what do you like about your job, and what you don't like about it?
Free coffee, free dessert, free meals, and yeah, but most likely free coffee. And no, I mean, besides of the free meals, it's really a social job. That's why it's my hobby, because like once I started to work there, I improved my Italian. I was like, I said like, ma tu parli italiano? When they asked me this, I was like, così, maybe. I mean, the conversation was just going down. Now I improved it. I met with many people, like the famous people, photographers, businessmen, or like any other random people. And so it's a social job that I like. The hard thing is it's taking a lot of my time and a lot of my energy, because, I mean, you being in the bar, you ask for the coffee, it's just like one espresso shot, you drink and you leave. But I'm there for 10 hours, sometimes 9, sometimes 5, depends, but it's still tiring.
Thank you. So I understand that during the a lot of people struggling, because I feel the same. In this summer, I was trying to get the internship, and I actually spent about 4 months looking for internship. Do we have anyone who's looking for internship right now, and it's been a long time, and you still had no answer from any companies yet? See, we got 1 girl, 2 girl, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the struggling is real. So it took me almost 4 months to find a job. I think now Melissa and Enio sounds kind of, it's like the job they get very easy, but I just wanted to say this, that the struggle is real and it takes time. And not only me, not only them, and also the people that I know in this university and other university, we actually spend a lot of time. So I think patience is also very important when it comes to internship. And I used to send about 50 emails every day to different companies, and I got 0 reply. Or I go through the first interview, the second interview, they're still like, no, we don't want you. So as time goes by, actually after 4 months, I get this job. So I think it's not as easy as we're just sitting here telling you that we have a job right now, you should just follow what we did. No, I think more important is we're here to tell you that we understand how hard it is. We were trying to give some suggestions, and then meanwhile also let you guys know that it's not easy. So don't worry, we were all together before. So the next question, so Melissa, you're from China, right?
Yes.
How did you learn your Italian, first of all?
This is my 3rd year of university here. But before the university, I still studied for another 2 or 3 years in the high school. And during the high school, I learned the Italian language, because I still remember when I just arrived in Italy, I didn't know any word of Italian. Maybe only 2 words I know Italian is the ciao and spaghetti. And after that period of time, I feel more comfortable living here, living in Italy, because I can understand what the people are saying, what's their feeling, and I feel that I'm getting closer with my Italian friends once I know their language. Yeah, but at the beginning I was also struggling with the language. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about what we're studying right now. Do you find, Anna, do you find what we are studying together, hospitality and tourism management, is there any course or subject or the program that we did together in the classroom for every semester? Is there any course that is specifically helpful for you to get this job?
Uh, they didn't get me help. They didn't help me to find a job, to be honest. But they helped me how to stay at the job, because I mean, I even had the managerial experience back in Istanbul. It was terrible. Like, I mean, you've seen in the movies like Netflix, I don't know, wherever, or in your company, the people who are like swearing at their manager. I was that manager. They were swearing at me. So in this course, I learned, like, it's hospitality management. I really learned how to management parts. I have a good relationships with my friends, but that's not enough for when you're working. So what I learned from these courses, it helped me to stay on the job. Even like now it's promising for me a managerial position in this company as well, in Italy as well. So they were very helpful to stay, not find.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Melissa? Do you find any course that you're studying is specifically helpful for your job?
Like some course we did during these 3 years, my favorite subject will be the corporate communication, because during this course we have the teamwork, and it teaches me how to work with my classmates together, as we real as we are in a real workplace. So I learned how to communicate with them. I learned how to work together. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think for my personal speaking, I think that actually what I studied, not really related to what I'm doing right now, but more is like, I think during the time, as Anil said, you become more stable when it comes to, because I think it's because you're getting older and older, so you're more mature when it comes to job, you have more patience, you become more stable when it comes to job.
I mean, you're older than me, you told me.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the next question. So I understand that as an international, when you start, I used to live in New Zealand for 5 years, and now I live in Italy. I completely understand the fear of living in a very new country, especially for internationals. Like me, when I came here, I knew 0 people here. So I'd like to know if you got any specific people here, person that helped you to get your way in Italy.
It wasn't a specific person, but it was a specific, let's say, organization. The course, they are holding Italian courses in Istanbul, so they have this cooperation with IULM University. They were the ones that helped me to meet with IULM. Otherwise, I came here by myself, all alone. So.
Okay. What about you, Melissa?
I think I'm very grateful for my family, and thanks to them, I've got this opportunity to study abroad. And I also very grateful with all the people that I met during this journey. Most of the people that are so kind to me, and also my professors, they helped me a lot with my studies when I still speak very well the Italian. They always tell me something over and over again with a lot of the patience.
Okay, thank you. If you don't mind, how old are you?
22.
Okay, 22. So is the job that you're doing right now is your first job?
My second internship.
Where did you do your first internship?
I was working in an advertising company, and
In Italy?
Yeah, in Italy, but there was a Chinese company.
Okay, could you tell a little bit the difference between the Chinese company and the Italian company? Like, just in general, what do you find the difference between these two companies?
Okay.
You can be honest, it's okay.
I think one of the differences that I see is in the Chinese company, you will have a leader directly. They will tell you what you have to do, and what's the next step for your for your for your internship plan. But in an Italian company, it's like you work like a team. So there's also a leader. They would give you some directions, but the most of the time you work with your colleagues. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Anil? So you're from Turkey. What do you think, and you have worked before, so what do you think is the difference between Italian company and the Turkish company?
I mean, it's actually not specifically about the company, but it's about the part of industry that I've been. So it's the coffee business, let's say. So it's a bit international and a bit related with this Mediterranean cultures, because like once I was in work, like they welcomed me so well. I mean, that's the connection of coffee. Yeah, I know, but in the bar, I mean, I don't feel like I'm working. It's quite my comfort zone. So those were back in Turkey and here as well. So like even the people like Italian, they think like I'm Turkish. I don't speak Italian very well, but like if I don't know how to say a simple word, they're like, Anil, listen to me. You say this in Italian like this. So like they're helping me, they're welcoming me. So I don't know if that's the question. I get worried.
The question is, what's the difference between Turkish company and the Italian
Oh, not
company?
at all. Not at all.
No, there's no difference.
No.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question, Melissa, when you're looking for this internship, were you planning to stay in Italy for future, or are you just to get the internship to, like, let's say, to graduate? What's your plan? What was your plan?
I really like the Milan, this city. So my plan is to stay in Italy still for the next few years. So that's why I decided to find something in this field that I'm studying.
Okay, thank you. But then, Anil, like, what about you? Were you planning to stay here in the future, and that's why you get it contact with Ely?
Well, we'll see. There is as I said, there is a possible opportunity for me, as in the managerial position, as soon as I graduate, because our like international students, we could only work a part-time, and that is not what companies want. So they want you to work in full-time because they could invest on you. I get close that part because I mean, it's been told to me, but staying in Italy at least next 1 or 2 years, I'm planning. But before, as you know, I many times mentioned, I wasn't a fan of Milan at all. Maybe still not, but now I like my environment, I like my friends, I like my job, so I'll continue.
Okay, thank you guys. So right now, next question for Melissa. Could you give some advice for the student that's still looking for internship or job? Can you give us some advice about it?
Yeah. I'm still learning in my journey. If I can give some advice, one of the advice will be find something that you are really interested in. Because if you are really passionate about something, you will be more willing to do that.
So passion, most importantly.
Yeah, I
But
think.
we really like at this period. I don't think like for me. I would think like passion is not doesn't matter. I need an internship. I could do whatever internship I would fund. So apart from passion, I mean, do you have any specific way apart from get contact with Mattia and also try, I don't know, maybe from Alma Laulea? Do you find any other way that is helpful as well to get an internship?
Yeah, sometimes I will look through the another application which is called LinkedIn, and on the LinkedIn there are a lot of the um, job opening job, and you can have a look which is the position that you are interested in, and try to send them your CV and the cover letter and something. Sometimes they will answer you by email.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Anil, what's your advice to us about getting an internship?
I mean, I was thinking an answer while I was listening, but and I mean, I have something, but I don't want to sound like a TED talk. Like, you know, they go with the like the red background and say like try harder, uh, but it is a bit trying because like I agree with the like it's hard. I struggle a lot to find a job. So like it's been 9 months, but if you ask me the before, it was like, well, what I did, I do not recommend you, but I was just walking because like sending a CV, as they said, there is like no answer. You get you lost your hopes. I mean, day by day because they're not answering you. So I lost my mind and I went by streets. So like I asked like every coffee shop in Milan, and they were like, I mean, I see like how was it written like cerchi persona? Cercasi persona, like we're searching for a person. Whatever I see, I was going inside because like I needed a job. I mean, socially, I mean the money was good too also, but like socially. So I did like I walked street by street. I asked them. Eventually, I find it. Do not do this if you don't have to. But first, go to Mattia.
Sorry?
First, go to Mattia.
Ask Mattia. Yeah, Mattia, at the end, could you also give us some advice as well? So for me personally, after I think those two, they gave us really practical suggestion as well. Personally speaking, during the time when I was looking for a job, LinkedIn I used also, and I sent thousands of emails. I remember last summer was really difficult for me. First of all, because the weather was super hot, and I didn't have any fan in the house. Second of all, it's more because I was struggling. I was trying to get a job and then has no reply at all. And then some of my like Anil, he started internship before me, and I felt super panic. Just you can't help yourself to compare with the people that you know, oh, he's already getting this, she's already on her way, what I'm going to do. And I understand, especially for being a student, this is a extremely hard time. And like I said, I've been working for 5 years before I decided to become a student again. So I used to have a lot of confidence when it comes to looking for a job. I thought I knew what I need. But then, according to how many times I have bothered Mattia, I think I was completely lost back then as well. And to be honest with you, the job that I'm doing right now, I'm not a very big fan of it. More it's for an internship, also an experience of working in an Italian company. Don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I suggest sometimes our plan you plan a lot of things. You think about, for example, ask the question, Melissa, would you stay in Italy in the future? She said, I would like to, but we never know. But we need to focus on what we need to solve right now. So that was what I was thinking when I was trying to get a job at the end of the summer. So when I focused on that, I wasn't thinking about it. I have to find something that I fully passionate about. I need to find a specific area job. When I lose that, when I was like, okay, I don't need to be so stubborn, the internship comes easier because I have more choices. And I think another suggestion apart from Anil's and Melissa, I think it's very important to get the networking. Networking not only on adding people on LinkedIn, sending messages. I know there are a lot of advice like that, but also like I think you guys can come here and decided to participate this meeting. That's sort of networking too, because we can, that's where you meet people, you can get a piece of advice or information from them. I mean, we just needed to communicate with the people that you think might help for. I think that's very important too. So just be shameless sometimes. You have to. I think that's... So now, Matteo, could you please give us some advice? Then we will have the question time. Yes.
Okay, so I wasn't expecting this, but this is exciting. It's the beauty of it being live. So as I said before, I work in the career service department, and I normally focus on international internships and things abroad. So, but what happens is obviously being in contact with international students, with Anil, with Pagnon, with Delia as well at the time, we kind of came into contact mainly because I was someone who could help for the English and, you know, the usual things. So a lot of the support that I actually give, a lot of the time isn't, I don't have a magic wand. The companies don't, I don't suddenly pull out internship opportunities everywhere. They know that. Mm-hmm. The good thing about, you know, the experiences that we've heard about up until now is the fact that you've put a lot of work into where you know, the point you've arrived at right now is that you've put a lot of work into it. And I know a lot of you have done the same as well. And sometimes it's a matter of luck. Sometimes it's a matter of, it's a good moment. The other time though, which is the majority of the work, is that you've prepared well for it, which means having a good CV, having a good presentation letter, not being scared about asking. You know, the idea of being shameless, okay, you don't have to become stalkers, but the idea of actually reaching out to people proactively is basically half of the game. So if that means contacting people and reaching out to companies proactively, like a lot of the companies have even like general email addresses, okay? You can do that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And maybe some of you have already done that, have already started doing that. But the moment you have a good CV, a good personal branding, you have a good LinkedIn page, and maybe a good cover letter, that's really half of the job done. The other half is interviews, and that's something that we can still prepare you for. Obviously, I don't know how many of you have actually done interviews before, but it can be a little bit off-putting if you've never done an interview, if you've never had one. But that is also about preparation. And I mean, if you do ever come through me, or anyway, come into contact with me, we can work on that as well. That's not a problem. I think one of the things that I suggested, I can't remember to who, maybe to someone else in general, but there are also like chambers of commerce of the different countries, right, in the world. And they obviously, most of them have companies in Italy that work with them, right? So they're partners. So we have, like, for example, the Hong Kong Chamber of Commerce, or the Spanish one, the French one. So what you could do, one starting point that was actually quite interesting, and I know a lot of people have found internships this way, is actually going to see what partner companies are working with, for example, the Turkish Chamber of Commerce in Italy. I think I mentioned it to you as well. That could be one starting point. I know there was a French student a couple of weeks back who said, oh, I reached out to this French company who was partnered with the Chamber of Commerce, of the French Chamber of Commerce here in Milan. And I reached out to the company, and now I'm going to start my internship with her. Because, you know, there are obviously French companies working in Italy. And often, if that's the only language you speak, and obviously English, then that might be enough. Other times, it's true, Italian will be a barrier at some point. But that's not necessarily your fault. It's necessarily the fact that we're not used to speaking anything but Italian. Okay, so that's the main problem. The workforce in Italy is heavily focused on Italian, okay? So that's what we're used to having. Knowledge of English is not always present in companies. Probably like 80% of the companies in Italy don't really use English at all, unless it's emails. But then again, what is the problem? The problem is that interacting within the, maybe Delia knows a bit more about this, but even like interacting with your colleagues becomes an issue, you know, because not everyone speaks English. And that's why sometimes it becomes that much of an obstacle. But sometimes you do find companies that are able to look over this, you know, and be like, okay, I'm going to accept the fact that maybe your Italian is not great, but you can help me with your national language or English, and that way I can sort of push towards internationalizing my company. And that's another thing that you could propose yourself, whether you're studying communication, marketing, I don't know what kind of the audience that we have in general, but like what you could help also companies understand is that when you're proposing yourself to the companies, is that you can help them internationalize. And that's something that I think, at least in Milan, a lot of the companies in general, whether they're private, whether they're associations, they're institutions, don't just think about like corporate companies. Like think about also other smaller environments where, you know, they're aiming to expand their markets, and that's how you can help them a little bit as well. So I think, I know it's difficult. Like I've seen so many different stories throughout the years, but then the people who do succeed, you know, they have a great career in front of them, and I'm sure that's going to happen. That's going to be the case. But I think what sort of makes the common thread between all of these people is that they didn't wait for it to happen. Okay, so I think if you're waiting for it to happen, it won't happen. It's true, you can use the channels where obviously the university, you mentioned Alma Laurea, that's fine. You can contact companies proactively, that's true. But I think waiting for it to happen doesn't happen. And I'm sure it's not the case with everyone who's here or anyone else who is listening at the moment. And I also say this to Italian students. Like there's a lot of Italian students who expect, you know, the internship the company just to contact them, and that's just not going to happen. It's not how companies technically work. Another thing I wanted to say, before you start looking for internships, before you start reaching out to companies, make sure you kind of critically evaluate or analyze your self-branding. Do I have a clear message with what I'm communicating? Like me as a professional on the market, on the job market, okay, maybe I'm going for my first internship, right? But what can I offer? The analysis that I often make and that I often, you know, have people do when they come and talk to me is, as I stand in this specific moment, like what can I offer companies? Even if it means what I've studied over the last 6 months, 1 month, surely you've picked up stuff, even concepts, even like theoretical knowledge that you can put to good use in a company environment, in a professional environment. And that's the first thing that you should be looking at. Once you've done that analysis, then it's easier to present yourself on a CV, have a good layout, and it's even small things like, do I have a good photo of myself on my CV? And I know in some countries photos are not good on CVs. In Italy, we do use that. So if that's something that's missing on your CV, it will help, okay? Also because, you know, am I writing clearly? And I'm not saying you should have it necessarily in Italian, because if you don't really speak Italian, there's no point having a CV in Italian, but having it in English, am I writing in good English? You know, have someone check it. Even if it's your second language, then, you know, it's understandable that you may make mistakes, right? We all do. So that's another big thing. Make sure that the information that is on your documents, your official documents, are representative of who you are. Am I actually underestimating myself on my CV? Because I see that so much. Like I see about, you know, hundreds of CVs every week, right? So it's students, Italian, international, doesn't matter. It's always the same story. Like, am I actually giving value to what I already know? So a lot of you are sitting here, whether you're studying bachelor's, master's, surely in your previous education, don't underestimate anything that you've done that can have professional meaning. It can even be volunteering experiences where, I don't know, maybe in your high school years or in your bachelor degree, you were organizing events for fun or for free even. That's something that you're acquiring sort of professionalism in, and it's something that you can actually put on your CV. Or projects you're doing at university, you know, some courses, I think hospitality and I think corporate as well, you do a lot of like practical courses in terms of like, you have like a project work, you're working with other students and working on like doing, I don't know, a marketing analysis or a communication campaign for a company. That's great, use that. I know it's not professional experience per se, so it's not exactly saying I worked for this company and we developed a professional communication campaign for them. But at the same time, you're still understanding how to create a communication plan, how to structure an editorial plan for digital communication, social media, or even, I don't know, you're working on a marketing campaign. It's true, it's theoretical maybe, but it's an actual practical application of your knowledge to a specific case. So that's something that you can then take to a company and be like, you know, I know how to structure a product launch. You know, I know how it works. I know how to do a pest analysis or a SWOT analysis, because those are the things that at the end of the day, you know, companies are going to need in their everyday talk, right? Another thing is big on digital. Like if you're good on like using programs, using software, make sure you mention that on your CVs. And honestly, it sounds silly now that I'm saying these things because they seem obvious to me, but it's not always the case. So that's another thing. And then another good thing is having a good structured cover letter or a presentation letter or a spontaneous letter if you're not answering or responding to it necessarily to a job, you know, application. You can write spontaneous letters, but make sure you're not just writing the history of your life and what you've been doing over the past 10, 15 years. Again, hone in on your professional experience, academic experience. If you don't have any professional experience, that's fine. Focus on your academic and extracurricular stuff. Like make sure you are kind of setting yourself up to make the company understand, A, what you want. So explain them that you want to do an internship in the events department, in the marketing, in the communication, in the front office if you're studying tourism or hospitality, in marketing, okay? But then also explain why you think you'd be a good fit with the knowledge and the experience that you have. So I think the one big thing, and then I promise I'll shut up, but like the idea of what I've noticed as well coming from international students in particular is that you tend to come to Italy with a lot more experience than Italian students do, right? So that's something that you guys should really hone in on. Like most of you are coming here with lots of like extracurricular stuff, like volunteering experiences, periods abroad where you've been studying or living. That should all be used in the way that you talk about your self-branding, okay? It shouldn't be underestimated, like nowadays especially. So, yeah. I hope I've given some sort of insight.
Thank you so much, Matteo. That's definitely really, really helpful. And I think he already gave all of the detailed suggestions and which step we should follow. I think it's really helpful. So now, everyone, so if you have any question, you can just raise up your hand to ask me or Melissa, Matteo, or Enil. Could you also answer the questions for us as well if we get a question? So anyone, if you have any question, yes, please.
Hello, my name is Thea. I would like to be here. I have this question. So we know that when we send out the cover letter or CVs, we can send out to a lot of companies. But the thing is is the important about the quality of the cover letter? Should we use the same format to send all, or we look at a specific companies to adjust? You know, like we cannot have enough time to make it like 50 cover letters or CVs. So that's my first one. We can start with that one.
Okay.
I have a second later.
Sure. That's an excellent question. Actually, thank you for asking, because that's something that obviously, as Anil and others mentioned before, it is time consuming for this specific reason. Because obviously sending the same cover letter, especially when you're answering, like responding to specific job offers, can be a little bit difficult if you're sending the same letter to the same companies, right? So the ideal cover letter, and we're talking about an ideal world in which everyone has 100% of their time dedicated to internship or job hunting, is personalized, is tailor-made for the company. You want to explain why, you know? I tend to use, I don't know if this might be useful, and then I'll answer your question in more detail, but like I tend to use a very specific format for cover letters, which is quite basic, but it's quite useful. I tend to have like a first paragraph where I introduce myself, I say who I am, what job position I'm answering to, and the name of the company, basically explaining what I do and who I am, okay, and why I'm reaching out to the company. Then I normally have a paragraph where I'm talking about my academic achievements, so what I've been studying, what I'm studying, maybe the courses, a couple of courses that I've taken that can be useful or interesting for the company to know. And then I explain why I think I should be taken on for the role. And in that section, I talk about my professional achievements that I think are in line with the position. And then obviously maybe it can even be, if you don't have any professional experience, it can be maybe projects that I've worked on that have helped me. And then at the end, like just basically I'm open to an interview or whatever. So there's only like, one other one where I explain like why I'm interested in the position and why I'm interested in the actual company. So it's 3 or 4 paragraphs, and normally never, ever longer than a page, because no one's gonna read it otherwise. I mean, that's another big thing. Like, technically, people only read your cover letter if they're going to read your CV. So if your CV is good, they'll read the cover letter. Otherwise, no. That's what 3 years in recruitment taught me. When I had 100, like 3, 4 positions open at the time, I only took about 2 or 3 seconds to read a CV. If the keywords come up, I'll then read the next step. So I think that's a big thing, like the idea of having a CV with good keywords, especially if you're going into communication, like have those specific keywords like digital, social media, marketing campaign, communication campaigns, editorial plans, etc. Have them in your CV as you're going. And then on your cover letter, make sure that it's not too long. Otherwise, you'll lose interest from that point. So to answer the question, I want to give you like a 50-50 answer. Like the idea of tailor-making your cover letters is going to make it more effective. Yes. Do I have time to do that? No. So the issue, I think that the kind of the win-win is keeping maybe the body of your cover letter the same, but then changing a few details. So what you could do is you could have, obviously your educational history is not going to change. That's going to be that, right? Maybe the projects that you have, you could have them on a separate piece of paper, the various different, like on a separate Word, you could have like, for example, all the projects you've done, and then just kind of like copy them in, the ones that you think could be more interesting. You only have to like mention the project and say what you've done for that project. But like, that's gonna make it a little bit more effective. Or like, for example, on the heading, each cover letter should have like a heading with your name, your email address, your phone number, and then maybe the name of the company you're addressing it to. And you know, it's these small details that you can change that will make it more effective because it's a little bit more personalized. Different thing is if you're talking about a spontaneous application, when you're writing a cover letter for someone who, you know, doesn't expect a CV from you or a cover letter. In that case, well, those can be a little bit more similar because you're explaining, as long as you're explaining why you're writing to them and why you think you'd be a good fit for them, then that's basically job done. The hard part is actually responding to job offers. What you could do is you keep 50% or 60% of the letter the same. You just change a couple of details based on what the job description is. So you literally take the job description because the job description is the only indication you have of what the company is looking for at the moment, right? So if they're saying, if they're using keywords as well within their job, like we need someone who helps us with our social media campaigns or our digital marketing or events, then those are the trigger words that you will need to include in some way in your cover letter, okay? So if you then realize that you're applying for the same kind of positions, then that also helps because you can kind of mix and match them a little bit. So a little bit of tailor making is very important, definitely.
Thank you very much. As how detailed every time Matteo is answering the question, I really suggest you should really reach him out. He has been more than helpful during the entire time for my internship, and I think for a lot of people as well. So any other questions? Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Azia. I have I would say a specific question. So I heard that there is a special tax regime for foreigners, for young foreigners who start looking for a job here in Italy, and it's called Regime di Impostazioni Impatriati. I wanted to ask whether you know anything about that, because actually it means that, as I understood it, it means that foreigners, they pay less taxes here. So, and taxes are always important, and that's why I want to ask you.
So we are not experts of taxation. You can ask to a fiscal consultant or CAF or the revenue agency. There is a guide on the website of the revenue agency about that in English. That's a small step for humankind, but it's in English. So you can give a reading to this manual for foreigners that come to visit here. And we are setting up a whole format about working in Italy and being also entrepreneur in Italy. So stay tuned on YesMilano students because we are working on that. And it's also coming from an idea of Mattia. So thank you, Mattia. And thanks for the small webinar that you made today. And we can invite Mattia also for discussing the administrative aspect of working in Milano. That's not the topic today, but we are gonna making a specific format with experts and discussing how many hours can you work. By the way, I have a question from YouTube, and I give the microphone to you for your more personal experience. Umaima from home says, are students allowed to have full-time jobs before graduating? Depends. European students can do whatever they want if they can manage. Non-European students that are here with a study residence permit are supposed to stay here and study. So they are allowed to make a part-time job in order to maintain themselves to studies. If you do more than 20 hours per week, you need to apply for a work permit. You can do that, of course, but it's hard to manage to juggle, as he said before, to juggle studying and working in the same time. So this is the bureaucratic answer. Now it's up to you with more human and peer-to-peer questions. More questions?
Yes.
One here.
I actually already worked for a few years in China, and I have a small firm myself. I'm just wondering, like from your point of view, if I'm looking for like a full-time position somewhere, how do I better explain my experiences? Because I have worked in different sort of industries, and they don't normally like. I had HR told me before, like, why are you switching the field in 1 or 1.5 years? How do you better explain this? And if you are doing something on yourself, why are you joining us? Like, I have been having these questions, and I'm not so sure how to better answer these. Thank you.
I think I could answer you this question since I've had 5 years working experience, and I was starting as a real estate, like basically selling houses. And then and I graduated as an English student, which means I didn't want it to be an English teacher. And probably I wasn't qualified anyways, but the point is I changed so many jobs in between. I was in China working, the very first job was selling houses, a real estate agent, just because my parents said, well, this is something that you should try. You should get rejection from people so you can learn, which I do not suggest you. I don't think that's really helpful. But anyways, and then the second job, I was doing some other things. Every job I changed, I don't think it's gonna affect, because I think HR or the recruiters, they can tell by your CV that you're changing for a purpose. Like, for example, they can see how you're growing. For example, when I started from the real estate agent, then became a manager of this company, he can see the growth in your career. So in this way, I mean, I always answering as in like I worked as this, and then I realized where I need more growth. I wanted to change myself a little bit. I think it's very easy to tell if you are not improving on your CV, but just simply changing jobs. I think creators, the HR are very easy to tell if you are changing your job relatively, or you're trying to improve yourself. So I think you can just give them the real answer. That's what
I mean, if I were you next time, just ask that HR CV. I mean, that she's asking you how many jobs that you changed, just ask her that you want to see her CV, and let's see how many jobs you changed before. Well, you can try.
Okay, so we have any other questions? Oh, yes.
Something really, really quickly. I promise
Of
it won't
course.
be anything more. I think something that you can do as well in your CV is try to sort of identify in your path, so the various different experiences you've had, the transversal skills that you've applied, that you've acquired throughout the years. So all kind of jobs, they have like some of the sort of soft skills and hard skills. that can be applicable in different situations: relational skills, communication skills, organizational skills. So the idea that what you could do is try and put those into emphasis and emphasize the skills that you can apply anywhere, because any job you can kind of resell in another environment. So if you're going for a job, unless you're applying to things that are completely unrelated to your experience, then that's a little bit tougher. But what you could, if you're going to things that are sort of parallel or similar to your past jobs, then you can focus on your transversal skills and make sure that you're putting those into emphasis. But then, yeah, honesty as to why you're wanting to change or why you want to sort of experience new things. As long as you have a good storytelling for that, that's absolutely fine. No worries.
Okay, I see you want to, yes, please.
Yes, hello, my name is Pavlo, I'm from Ukraine, and I wanted to ask, as far as I heard, it's much easier for employers here to hire a person from within European Union or at least Switzerland than to hire someone from outside European Union. And I wanted to ask if that is true, and if yes, how can this be, how this issue could be solved? Thank you.
Well, I guess I can give you answer of this, because like now I work as a part-time, and I have to, because I even go to the international office and I ask for the changing my visa type to just work more, but then I learned, I find out it will be better at the end. But as far as you have the resident permit as a student, you could work 20 hours and they will never change anything for the companies. So they are not obliged to pay any other extra fees. So they could easily hire you. And once your study finish, the Italian government, if I'm mistaken, please correct me, they will give you a 1-year visa for the working permit. So you can search for like a full-time work and work 40 hours per week. So, and there will be no other different issues unless, I don't know, I assume that you're a student here. If you're not a student here, of course, the company will face up an extra fees or other difficult process to face up with both governments. So as far as you're a student, that will be fine.
Paolo, about your question, I think that's how I understand it. Because first of all, we are not European citizens here. She's from China, I'm from China, he's from Turkey, and 3 of us, we got our internship here. So I think probably the chance is very fair. And I also heard what you said, they are more likely to hire a European citizen. I understand this because I think it's because companies are usually facing the visa, sponsor the visa. That's why they are more preferred to hire European citizen. But I don't think this is an issue when it comes to even medium-sized company. And also, if you're a really good fit for this company, they would definitely sponsor your visa. I don't think you should think in that way. Maybe it's true for some like minor company or like very local small companies. It could be like they are more likely to hire local people or European citizens just because of the visa issue. But personally speaking, after all of the interview that I've gone through, and I think as long as a lot of companies are willing to give you a chance to interview, that means they already prepared to give you a visa or a permit or something, any sponsorship for your future. So I don't think that's really an issue.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So anyone else?
Hello, my name is Govind. I'm also studying hospitality and tourism management here. So actually I have done a course in data analytics. I was just wondering if it would help me in finding an internship. Will it provide me some sort of edge, and does it actually help in our industry basically?
Your data science?
Yes.
And you're still struggling looking for an internship? That doesn't make any sense. What's the difficulties you've met so far?
No, so I'm actually in my first year right now, so I have not very actively looked for internships yet. I was planning to start looking from about this month, so that's why I was just asking if that would help me on, or in your experience, if you have had any such colleagues or something.
I do not really know anybody from the.
I mean, the data scientist, I cannot say anything, but if you have some sort of skill, that of course gonna help you to find a job.
Super easy.
I mean, for me, I am doing coffee, but I'm doing coffee good. Like once I was like entering those bars and like walking in the streets, I told them like, yes, I don't speak Italian, but I do better coffee than Italians. So if you have that courage to say them, like I could like go through the datas better than like whoever in this uh, let's say job environment, you're gonna get the job.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
May I add something? I think it's very good for you to study data science because data science is like a hard skill that you can show to the people that you know how your skills to others very quickly, and because you have some certifications or some language of code, but for some other degree, like the communication, we have a sort of the soft skills, so it's even harder to show people your skills. So it's very good for you. You study the data science.
Okay. I've seen the yes.
Yeah, I've got one more question, and it will be related to the length of an internship here. So yesterday I had an interview with a potential employer for an internship, and she told me the story of a girl who graduated ULM as well. And she told me that the duration of her internship was a year and a half. And I became really worried about the length of the internship, and because it wasn't a big company, it's just a startup. So I wanted to ask, would you say that there is an average length of duration of the internship that will be like the best option? So I don't know, 6 months or 9 months.
I think Matteo would be more professional to answer this question.
Yeah, just before I could add something like it would depends on the company and what they're seeking for. Otherwise, it's like for us 3 months full time and 6 months part time. That's I completed in part time, but it will definitely depends on the company. I have and the course. Yeah, I have one example, which is like it's my Italian classmate. So like he's a local, and he got the internship for like a year and full time. So like it's literally depends on, but let's see what our expert says.
Far from being an expert. But anyway, no, 6 months is the biggest average. Okay, so normally the easiest internship you're going to find, like the majority of job positions, job offers that you'll see, job descriptions, it'll be 6 months. In fact, sometimes it's difficult because in Italy we don't have a big summer internship concept, which in other countries, you know, if I think about the UK, if I think about the US, it's normal to have like seasonal internships, right? In Italy, it just tends to be 6 months, and a lot of the time it's throughout the year. So we'll have companies in September asking for internships for 6 months, but then students are studying, so there's no point, how can you do that full time? But I would say a year and a half is pretty strange. Like, but then again, thinking about a startup company, I can see why they're doing it. They're being cheeky about it. I don't want to know who they are just to not kind of make things complicated, but it is a little bit cheeky, to be honest. Like 6 months, okay. A year is okay if you're doing like 6 months before you graduate and then 6 months after you graduate, but that is the limit, to be honest. In terms of the law, unfortunately, allows this. So you could do like 12 months before you graduate and then 6 months after you graduate, and then that's a year and a half, and then that's a little bit, that's probably how they're doing it in a certain way. But I would say that 6 is the average. You can find some like summer internships if you're working in like, for example, the hospitality sector, or like events where they have like more intense periods where they're working. So like in hotels or companies that organize events, then they'll have like, for example, June to September, which is the biggest moment, or May maybe. But then I would say 6 is the average. Yeah.
Okay, I just got one more question. So I have a relevant work experience and 2 years. And is it possible here in Italy to get not an internship, but a job straight away? So without doing an internship, but having a relevant experience, relevant to the offer, to the position, I mean, is it possible? Or it's better not to hope for that and just to apply for internship and go step by step?
Okay, Neil will explain his experience. I'll talk more broadly in general. Internships are easier for companies in general, like whether you're Italian or not. But then again, you mentioned you have 2 years of experience in that relevant area. Just out of curiosity, where are you from?
Russia.
Russia, okay. So you currently have a permesso di soggiorno to be here, right? Okay, fantastic. So with that permesso di soggiorno, you are a little bit sort of limited to the 20-hour work, right?
So it means part-time.
It would be part-time, exactly. So you have a 20-hour. However, and that's something you could look into. If it's an internship, then it could be full-time. That's something that could be interesting because at that point you're going through a curricular experience through the university, and in that case it'll be easier for the company to do the paperwork because we help them with that in terms of like paperwork, right? And also in terms of justifying an intern is easier from a fiscal point of view than justifying a worker, okay, in the company. In terms of taxes, it then becomes complicated, and companies are like, oh, okay, no, this is complicated. I'm going to go for an internship. So it'll be easier theoretically to go for an internship, even in a relevant area, right? And sometimes you do find also curricular internships that are paid. It's not so often, unfortunately, because again, the law allows this. So hopefully that will change. But at the end of the day, I think it's easier to go for maybe an internship. It might be just easier to find than a 20-hour part-time job in something experienced. But I think you can look for, I mean, the issue is if you're looking for a full-time job with a full-time contract, because that might be difficult from just purely from a visa point of view. But if you're looking for a 20-hour or part-time job, but a job and not an internship, then that's slightly easier. And I think Anil is a perfect example of this in case.
Yeah, I mean, what I could tell you, I've been working since I arrived here. I guess I'm missing just 1 month. I was searching for it. I just converted my work as an intern. So I've been just working as a part-time. And in that case, I guess you could keep working. I mean, the IULM has this opportunity. They count your work as far as if it's related with your studies. They they give you the credits for your stage. And I have done it in this way. Like I didn't search for a special company that offers me internship. I was just regularly working and I got my credits through that.
Thank you.
So no more questions? Okay.
Thanks. Hello, my name is Kate, and I would like to find out if it's a big deal here in Italy to have a high GPA when you're applying for internship or a job. Just because currently I'm studying data science, and it's kind of difficult to maintain high level of grades in each subject. So I would like to know if it's going to be a big deal when I will apply for job, if employers actually will pay attention to it or not.
Okay, I'll answer this question first. I'm not a data science student, and during the whole time, not only in Italy, but other countries, including China, no one has ever asked me about specifically GPI, how much grade I got in the university or in IULM. Like, never happened to me anyways, but I think it would be a great thing if you can keep it higher. But it also depends on the job, specifically what sort of major course you're studying or so. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I could say, yeah, I agree to it depends on the field and depends on the company probably, because I worked in like United States, I work in Turkey, I'm working here. nobody ever asked me, and I don't think they are gonna ask me ever. If they ask me, I'll just say 18 is enough because I pass. That's not the point. I mean, I have the diploma. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, I don't know if anything else.
I mean, to be fair, what they're saying is correct. Like the idea of there are, I think in the last 4.5 years that I've been in this university, working with companies, Italian companies as well, before moving on to international ones, I've very, very, very rarely, I think it's been like maybe twice or 3 times with 3 companies over the last 4.5 years that I've actually seen on the job description, like people can apply if they have over, like, you know, you graduate with over 100 kind of thing, right? I've only seen it happen like twice, and it was only for like big investment companies, like who cares? Like, sorry, I mean, but like in general, like if it's not what you're looking for, then it's okay. Like it won't be something that they will sit you down and be like, so what did you get in this exam? To be honest, it doesn't really happen. Like obviously the idea of having a good grade average or having a good like final grade when you graduate is that you can then obviously give visibility to that and show that, you know, not only am I studying in a different country in a second or third language, but I've also managed to maintain my grades at a high standard as well. So that's something that you should give visibility to. But it doesn't matter if necessarily you're not finishing university with amazing grades or you're not sort of having a great average. At the end of the day, it's your attitude. Remember that for a lot of junior and entry-level positions, companies are not so much looking at your technical skills, but your attitude, the way you present yourself, the soft skills you bring to the company. Because at the end of the day, like you're starting to work now, so there's only so much experience you can have. Maybe you do have 2 years of experience. Maybe you do have 5 years. That's great. But for those of you who don't, then what they're looking at is someone that is willing to do, and that you'll bring the things that you've learned, the things that you've experienced in university, in your academic career, and that's what they're going to be looking at. So I would, to answer you, I would say don't worry too much about this. I mean, amazing grades, yes, fantastic if you can keep going, but don't make yourself sick over it. Like it's important to make sure that you also know how to apply them. Because one thing is having great grades, another thing is learning how to use them and applying them. Because so many people study and have amazing grades and have their piece of paper in their hand, but then when you put them in front of a problem at work, they panic because they don't know how to use them. So it's better to know how to apply them. Yeah.
Thank you. And
may I add something? Because I was also very panicked with my grade, but after that I realized that the company is more focused on how fit on your position they are looking for. So the grade is not the only thing they are looking.
I mean, and lastly, once you sit down that chair, once you have that interview, they're gonna say like, okay, with him or her, even it's 18, we're gonna continue. So it's not gonna change the job, hiring part, I guess.
okay, thank you very much. And Paolo, you got one more question? Here we go. Paolo there.
Okay, I do digital marketing and I have a lot of experience from my country, but it's kind of freelance experience. And I wanted to ask, how is it considered compared to some corporate experience? Is it as strong as it, and so on? And as well, I have a degree, but it is non-relevant. And I wanted to ask if that makes a difference.
Tell me if I understand your question correctly. Sorry. So you mean you were doing freelance, and could that help for you to get a job here? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, because of course I understand that corporate experience, if it is specified in your CV, is very good. But does freelance experience count as well?
Of course. I mean, freelance is also an experience, but if some companies, they ask you for, like, they may need the recommendation from your previous company or employer, that could be a problem for you, but you can, you can relatively select the company that is suited for you. For example, you can tell if you have the chance to have an interview and the HR asks you, what's your previous experience? You say freelance, and this one goes, okay, then we cannot hire you because freelance is not a job. Then I think you can also just quit them. Like you can just leave that company. Because for me personally speaking, I've encountered some companies have very like sort of like kind of ridiculous requirements for me personally speaking. So for those kind, I would just I would just skip them. So if you think and you did learn some experience or knowledge out of your freelance, of course, and you should be very proud of it, because freelance is a way that you don't need anybody to help yourself, but you can find a way to support yourself, earning money or managing all of the skills. So I think definitely you should. It should be helpful for you, and you should have the confidence when you did the freelance. It's good. And about the degree, you said, right? You were studying something different before,
Quantum chemistry.
and then now you are studying.
Corporate communication, public relations.
That means you're very smart. You're like studying different areas. Why would you think like, it's gonna be a problem? No, no. I think it's great. And also, and another thing I really want to say is you need to have, as Matteo said, you need to have the confidence. You need to first of all, you know that what you can offer to the company, but also yes, you're looking for a job, but it's on the balance. You give them what you have, and they pay you the money. I mean, you need to have the confidence, and I think that all the companies would like to hire somebody that is very confident, and also, of course, not like blindly confident, but more like you are confident about your past experience, you learned experience out of it, and that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
I mean, I'll just give you a simple example. Like that's your skill. Mine is, as I said, making coffee. I don't have any international certificate. Once I was in that bar, like, what I can prove or what I can show as an output to say, like, give me the machine. Like, I'm going to do a coffee. First taste it, and you'll see how skillful am I. For your situation, you can, as Mattia mentioned, you can mention these outputs or your works before or what have you done as a freelancer, and that will definitely charm the corporate prospect. And I mean, you cannot tell them to, give me the software, I'm going to do something for you, as I did. And I mean, but you could definitely show your outputs and they will consider it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think you are maybe even more competitive than others because you study in another field, and then you study the corporate communication. And in a lot of the field right now, they leveraging the power of communication. So I think you are even more competitive than others.
Okay, thank you guys very much. I think this is about to come to the end. If you do have other questions, feel free, because we're going to stay here for a little while. So if you have more questions, feel free to ask the three of us, and also Mattia, I think, and also by the right email to him. It's more importantly, I think. But anyways, thank you guys for coming, and thanks to YesMilano and the IULM University.
We thank you all on behalf of YesMilano for your participation.
Thank you guys very much. So yeah, I hope everything goes well with you guys, and see you next time. Thank you.